When it comes to building a good piece of media, the world, characters, and music, it's all important. However, I consider the story to be the most vital piece of the puzzle, leaving a long lasting impression for the audience, either shocked or good, you never know. I'll be talking about Life is Strange. This game, it mimics the structural format of a traditional television show with an episodic release, and it follows the theory of the butterfly effect. The game at its core is about how your actions will have consequences and how you can rewind time to change the world around you. The butterfly effect is just a simple question. Does the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil set off a tornado in Texas? This theory was originated in 1963 by Edward Lorenz, a meteorologist professor studying weather patterns, and he discovered that some scales changes can cause a chain of events occurring, developing into large-scale casualties, resulting in violent storms, for example. Leading on with choice and consequences, the game takes heavy inspiration with this theme, with a blue butterfly reminding the player of the power at hand and its consequences later on as you progress through. The game heavily encourages you to explore all available possibilities with your rewind power paired with the freedom of choice. However, it does warn you of your power at the start of every episode, which becomes more important later on. The fundamental base of the game, though, is how Max's consequences ripple through the timeline, affecting the people around her, in either short or long-term consequences tied to how you play her. The game follows Max and Chloe digging up the history of their hometown, Arcadia Bay, to discover the whereabouts of Rachel Amber, uncovering the secrets of your peers, whilst preventing a storm, destroying your town with your choices. The people around you change their responses depending on how you talk and act, having you to think with either logic or morale. One prime example of cause and effect is Kate Marsh, a young Christian classmate of yours who is being bullied for a video being spread around of her making out with guys in an after-school party. Her reputation diminishes quickly afterwards, with multiple events of bullying becoming more severe as the episodes go on. There's multiple chances for you to either intervene or talk to Kate about the bullying, learning more about her deeply, about her personality and her character. These interactions with Kate, though, and plus the bullying, do pile on to her attempt in episode 2, Out of Time. Kate walks herself to the rooftop of the school on the verge of jumping. Max witnesses this and abuses her powers here, straining herself and freezing time whilst walking up to the rooftop to talk Kate down. The conversation here has multiple dialogue options for you to pick, depending on what you picked prior, and depends on what you believe is the best option to talk her down. With an easy chance to fail and your previous interactions with Kate influencing her action, this forces a sense of shock to the audience with the fear of failing. While either outcome doesn't directly affect or alter the story in any way, it's still incredibly important as it shows the true roots of the characters behind her attempt, whilst forcing this morbid theme onto the player, making you question the future and how this can fall onto Max's hands with the pressure, guilt and the trauma all piling on. Throughout the story though, Chloe, your best friend, is the sole person affected mostly by Max's powers, from saving her from multiple casualties or just stopping her from saying the wrong thing in a heated argument. This aspect of the game is heightened though during episode 3, Chaos Theory, as far as to alter Chloe's life and personality. Investigating Rachel's case, you discover a hidden relationship between Rachel and Frank Bowers, the local drug dealer, supplying her addiction hinted prior at the game. This irritates Chloe, sending her into a resentful tangent about her life and her miserable relations with others leaving her. This plot point serves as its own example of the butterfly effect really, which becomes more apparent as you progress through this episode. After the argument, Max reminisces over an old photo of the duo from 2008 when they were preteens, discovering another piece to her power. She can jump into photos and alter the events taken, disrupting the timeline to her liking. The photo she was looking at was taken by Chloe's biological father, William Price, on the day of his death. Max inside the photo, throws away William's car keys, saving him from the moment of his death. This deviates the timeline, however, causing a wave of tragic events to be passed on to Chloe. When Chloe gets a call for her 16th birthday in this alternate timeline from William, the butterfly effect causes a ripple, landing Chloe into a car crash herself, paralyzing her from the neck down. Now stuck in this alternate timeline, around Max have been more consequences piling on subtly. For example, at the end of episode 1, it is shown that it has begun to snow around the area of Arcadia Bay, while the game takes place in October. Due to her actions from changing the timeline, further hints of a storm approaching has been shown, with dead whales washing up on the shore, for example. With Max altering the timeline, she's also shaped Chloe's personality and behavior to be completely unrecognizable. Along with Chloe acting sweet to Max, them keep in touch over the years, Max has also changed her social status to be a very popular and a high member of the Vortex Club. Chloe never meets up with Rachel nor creates a deep connection with her, resulting in the case being unresolved with no conclusion in this alternate timeline. Alongside this, Chloe's personality has been shaped as this new, smart but depressed, stressed out girl with a high GPA but slowly dying with her systems failing. She's terrified for her health and everything, and feels like she has no control whatsoever. With Max deeply uncomfortable with the scenario and the choices she just chose, knowing she's liable for Chloe's life, she spends the day with this alternate Chloe throughout the day, and ended up with Chloe asking her a question once the two reconnected. Chloe feels like she has no control over her own life whatsoever, seeing the people closest to her fail and become more depressed over her condition. With this, she asks you a question. She asks you if you can overdose her with her medicine on the side. She wants the control and she doesn't want to feel this pain anymore and just wants to spend her time with Max finally. You can either accept or refuse this question. While this serves as the middle plot point of the story, this doesn't affect us as Max can rewind back to stop any of these events happening in this alternate timeline. However, throughout the story, this does stick with Max deeply, watching her closest friend in such a deep, vulnerable state. Whether or not you accept or decline her request, you rewind back in time and you stop yourself from hiding William's car keys, allowing time to readjust itself back to the present day with the tragic event originally passed back to William. After returning to the originally proposed timeline, Max and Chloe continue to investigate with more evidence into Rachel's case, asking for help from Frank, the drug dealer. Depending on your choices and if you rewind or not, your confrontation with him can lead into multiple different ways, with either him staying alive and becoming an ally, injured, or him and his dog Pompidou dying. All three outcomes, however, do lead you to discovering Nathan's link to Rachel's disappearance. Max and Chloe uncover an abandoned farm hut which is in the Prescott's names, which stores a hidden bunker containing photography equipment and multiple binders holding disturbing photos of Max's classmates passed out and drugged. They discover a binder dedicated to Rachel, showcasing multiple photos, including a photo of her body in the landfill they were previously at. After finding Rachel, Chloe seeks revenge for Nathan, looking for his whereabouts in an after-school party hosted by his club. Before exploring the club for Nathan, Warren stumbles upon the duo intoxicated, asking for a photo with Max, as it's the end of the world. Reluctantly, taking the photo becomes extremely important for the story in the end. Unsuccessful in finding Nathan, Chloe receives a text from him mentioning how he's going to destroy any evidence of Rachel. Unknowingly, Max gets drugged by a hidden figure, unable to rewind time due to losing consciousness, and watches Chloe get shot in the head, concluding episode 4. Opening the fifth episode with the same shelter she discovered, Max's relationship with Victoria through the previous episodes dictate her fate if she's been kidnapped too alongside you. Your choice, either making up or confronting Victoria, has caused a ripple effect for her to be kidnapped or murdered by Mr. Jefferson. Keen to escape out of here by altering the past, Max focuses on a photo Mr. Jefferson has taken of her to stop him from drugging her so she can become more aware and conscious. Working successfully, she focuses deeper into another photo she took at the opening of the game in Jefferson's class, reporting him to the authorities to arrest him for his borderline pedophilic behavior. This alters the timeline with a domino effect, causing Max to win a photography contest, rewarding her a flight to San Francisco for her art to be displayed in a museum. Blissfully ignorant that this fixed the storm, Max receives a phone call from Chloe, distressed that she was correct and there is a storm about to kill Chloe and destroy the whole town. The effect that Max caused at the opening of the story wasn't interrupted like she thought. She sped up the process, in fact, and caused an even larger consequence, with the people around her suffering the consequences from her ripple. Reverting back, reporting Mr. Jefferson, and tearing up her photograph, destined to lose the competition, stabilizes the timeline through finding Chloe again and reaching a safe place by the lighthouse, away from the eye of the storm. Chloe has to admit her fate from her and Max's selfish actions. In hindsight, Max's choices through the 5 episodes, starting from saving Chloe from Nathan, has caused this ripple effect, along with the butterfly effect, with Chloe's multiple near-death experiences caused from Max altering time even more. She's caused this inevitable that was foreshadowed from the start, with constant blackouts and visions haunting her. She's plagued with this final horrific decision.
You could use that photo to change everything right back to when you took that picture. All that would take is for me to...
Fuck that! No. No way! You are my #1 priority now. You are all that matters to me.
I know. You prove that over and over again, even though I don't deserve it. I'm so selfish. Not like my mom. Look what she had to give up and live through. And she did. She deserves so much more than to be killed by a storm in a fucking diner. Even my stepfather deserves her alive. There's so many more people in Arcadia Bay who should live. Way more than me.
Don't say that. I won't trade you.
You're not trading me. Maybe you've just been delaying my real destiny. Look at how many times I've almost died or actually died around you. Look at what's happened in Arcadia Bay ever since you first saved me. I know I've been selfish, but for once, I think I should accept my fate. Our fate.
Chloe!
Max, you finally came back to me this week, and you did nothing but show me your love and friendship. You made me smile and laugh like I haven't done in years. Wherever I end up after this, in whatever reality, all those moments between us were real, and they'll always be ours. No matter what you choose, I know you'll make the right decision.
Chloe! I can't make this choice!
No, Max. You're the only one who can.
Do you rewind time to the opening of the game where Chloe is shot by Nathan before you intervened, stopping the ripple effect of your choices and ceasing the storm to exist? Or sacrifice Arcadia Bay, saving Chloe but destroying everything in its path? Either choice is completely canon, and at the end is completely dependent on the user and what they think is the best decision, with either conclusion having a severe strain on Max. With sacrificing Chloe, Max rewinds to the moment she originally died in the school bathrooms, with Max as a witness. Due to the fact Max rewinds time before any of the events in the game, Chloe doesn't recall any of your interactions with her. She doesn't remember meeting with Max after being split apart for 5 years, nor discovers what happens to Rachel Amber. All she thinks is how she was abandoned by the people closest to her. Chloe acknowledges this and asks Max to consider the choices, how she doesn't deserve to live compared to everyone else in Arcadia Bay. Having this choice end on Chloe's funeral and a close-up of a blue butterfly on her casket. With Sacrifice in Arcadia Bay, Max and Chloe wait the storm out and pass through the destruction before going to a close. With no presumed survivors, there it's only mentioned in future games, Max and Chloe leave, with Max promising to never use her powers again. Further into the franchise is when we're given more information about the survivors of the storm, where David, Chloe's stepdad, is living with the main characters of Life is Strange 2. He talks about his relationship with either Chloe or Joyce depending on what you chose, with him talking about how close he's been with Chloe ever since the storm happened, or his regret of being so toxic to Chloe if she died, and how he got divorced by Joyce. Giving us 2 canonical endings further emphasizes the importance of choice throughout the game. Both endings are true to the story and depend on how you personally want the story to conclude, tying it further with the fact that both endings have a morbid twist to them, that Max is going to have intense trauma from 1 week alone. In conclusion, the game is an incredible experience with a beautiful story, teaching the values of choice and consequences through the means of self-doubt and the butterfly effect, sticking to the question of if you can predict or change the future or outcomes of life.